Good afternoon. My name is Ed Garza, the proud representative and Board of Trustee in the San Antonio Independent School District. I also am elected in a single member district, District 7, which represents the Thomas Jefferson High School feeder cluster. So I'm very proud to be speaking here today on behalf of our school district, certainly our superintendent, Pedro Martinez, and Principal Orlando Vetta. First, I want to thank the Alamo chapter. Thank you very much to the daughters for taking time to celebrate. We really shouldn't take advantage of our independence. The independence that was fought here on these sacred grounds, the Alamo, for Texas independence. And I think it very fitting that today, as the daughters recognize and honor Thomas Jefferson High School, the namesake after the primary author of the Declaration of Independence, that there's a theme going on here. And for our students to be attending a school named after such a distinguished President of the United States and contributor to the Declaration of Independence, and to be part of the great history here in San Antonio for our great state of Texas. They told me I had about 2 or 3 minutes to sum up the great accomplishments of Thomas Jefferson High School, and as Pedro and Orlando know, that's going to be hard, or 1 minute. I could be up here for hours talking about all the great things that have happened, not only the 84 years of this school, but just in the last 10 months by these great students of Thomas Jefferson. I'm proud of each and every one of them. I'm proud of the teachers who are bringing out the best. These are our future leaders of our community and professions that really are, some haven't even been defined yet, because these young men and women are so creative and so passionate, committed to making a difference in our community. But I will say that Thomas Jefferson High School is a unique place. It is a place of education. And again, thank you to the daughters for recognizing the importance of education. But when that school was built in 1932, when those plans were made in 1929, and the Board of Education made a bold decision to create and build the first $1 million high school in the United States. Think about that in the time frame of the Great Depression in the 1920s. To say that public education and the students that will attend our schools deserve the very best. And hired a team that created an architectural gem that today still stands, that today is being renovated through a bond program of some $25 million. Still needs more funds, but it's the first step to preserve a building that is now known throughout not just San Antonio, but throughout the world. And we have graduates throughout the world. If you think about 84 years of students that have walked those halls, and we have notable graduates, we have those that have been recognized for being Nobel Prize winners. I think Jefferson is the only high school in the state with 2 Nobel Prize winners. We have graduates that have excelled in the field of arts, a Hollywood producer, in the field of athletics, All-Americans that played in football, that have excelled in politics. We have former mayors, and current mayors, and current HUD secretary. And I can go on about the diverse leaders that we've had through our school. But more than anything else, there's a phrase that is in the alma mater that says, "At school we all live well." And the students love this place, and the graduates love this place, because the building helped create the student of today and the student they became for the rest of their life. It is a magical place, and I encourage all of you, I know all the graduates have been there, but this school has history, it has tradition. Some of the history is not always good, but that's part of history. And today the students are able to embark on that and take it with them as they begin their journeys for the second part of their life. I'd like for all the graduates who are here, graduates from the 1930s. Anybody graduate from the 1930s, please stand. 1940s. Yay! 1950s. 60s, rowdy 60s. 70s. 1980s. 1990 to present time. And again, let's give all our current students at Thomas Jefferson a round of applause. Students, stand up. We recognize our current students. We still have a few months before graduation, but in the class of 2016, over 96% have been accepted to college. 96%. That's a great accomplishment, and I know they're pushing up almost 10% for Tier 1 universities, and that's been a big push by our superintendent. So they're on track to continue the great tradition, to take it to another level. And as they say at Jefferson, there are no excuses, but dream big. So again, thank you very much for this opportunity to recognize my alma mater, Thomas Jefferson High School, and on behalf of the San Antonio Independent School District, thank you again for this recognition.
John Steinbeck wrote, "Texas is a state of mind. Texas is an obsession. Above all, Texas is a nation in every sense of the word. God bless Texas." Some folks look at Texans and see a certain swagger, which in Texas we call walking. William Barrett Travis, in his Victory or Death letter, wrote, "I shall never surrender or retreat. I call on you in the name of liberty, of patriotism, and everything dear to the American character to come to our aid." We celebrate Texas Independence Day here in front of a monument erected to those who gave their lives at the Alamo in the struggle for Texas independence. Colonel Travis continued his letter by saying, "I am determined to sustain myself as long as possible and die like a soldier who never forgets what is due to his own honor and that of his country. Victory or death." At the conclusion of the letter, he added a postscript, "The Lord is on our side." Susanna Dickinson was the sole adult Anglo survivor of the fall of the Alamo. She would probably agree with those who say life in the early days of Texas was an adventure for men and dogs, but hell on women and horses. Adina de Zavala and Clara Discroll followed in her footsteps and that of other famous Texas women. These two women are most closely associated with saving the Alamo. They both were early members of the Daughters of the Republic of Texas, and both were proponents of Texas Independence Day. I salute the women of Texas for saving the Alamo. I salute the Alamo Mission Chapter. For 106 years, this chapter has recognized a school as we celebrate Texas Independence Day at the Alamo. If you live in Texas, or if you're just visiting, you might give some serious thought to thanking your lucky stars. You're in Texas. Senator William Blakely perhaps said it best. Texas is neither southern nor western. Texas is Texas. At Washington on the Brazos, on March 2nd, 1836, some 60 men signed the Texas Declaration of Independence. They wrote, "We therefore, the delegates of the people of Texas, do hereby resolve and declare that the people of Texas do now constitute a free and independent republic. God bless our San Antonio community, and God bless Texas."
It is my honor to introduce our distinguished keynote speaker, Dr. John Frederick. He currently serves as the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs at the University of Texas at San Antonio. Dr. Frederick is a native of San Antonio and a 1976 graduate of Thomas Jefferson High School. He earned an AB from Princeton, an AM, and a PhD from Harvard, all in chemistry. Dr. Frederick joined the chemistry faculty of the University of Nevada and eventually served as chair of the department and director of the chemical physics program. His research interests in the area of computational molecular dynamics were featured in some 48 articles in chemical physics literature. He received the Allen Bible Teaching Excellence Award from the College of Arts and Sciences in 1995 and the Donald Tibbetts Distinguished Teacher Award from the University of Nevada in 1996. In 2001, Dr. Frederick was appointed as Executive Vice President Association of Public and Land Grant University, where he launched the Science and Mathematics Teacher Imperative to promote science and mathematics. In 2008, Dr. Frederick returned to San Antonio to his current position, where he plays a leading role in guiding the university towards the goals of becoming a premier research university. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Frederick.
I'm deeply honored to be with you here today to share some reflections, not only on the celebration of Texas independence, but also the legacy of Thomas Jefferson High School and the power of education. As a 1976 graduate of Jefferson and as the Chief Academic Officer at UTSA, where we're striving to create a top-tier university to serve a top-tier city, these are themes that are very close to my heart. I want to reassure all of you in the audience that although my background is in chemistry, I don't plan to talk about chemistry and math today. As you've heard, it was 180 years ago today that some 60 Texans signed the Texas Declaration of Independence of Washington on the Brazos. That advocated the political separation of Texas from Mexico. Now I want to put this act in context. The document, as it's been noted, is inspired in part by the American Declaration of Independence, which was largely written by Thomas Jefferson. It had only been written, though, 60 years before the Texas Declaration. So I want you to think of that these two events happened within the span of a human lifetime. So some of you who are here today, had the American Declaration been signed in your childhood, you would have seen the Texas Declaration be signed. So these were two events that were very proximate in history. Thomas Jefferson, who was the primary author of the Declaration, the American Declaration of Independence, actually died in 1826 on the 50th anniversary of the American Declaration. Both he and John Adams died on the same day, 50 years to the day after that was signed. But think about that. He died only 10 years before the Texas Declaration was written and signed. So Jefferson might be considered pretty radical today because he supported a periodic redrafting of the Constitution every generation. Now, if we think of the difficulty that Congress has just passing a budget or any type of new legislation now, just imagine what the whole rewriting of a Constitution would look like today. The Texas Declaration of Independence was supported both by recent American immigrants and by the native Tejanos, who are already Mexican citizens, and many of whom contributed significantly to the fight for independence. Among the many grievances that were included in that document, the Declaration cited the failure of the government of Mexico to establish a system of public education. Now, I don't know about you, but as an educator, I get really excited when I learn that people feel so strongly about education that they're prepared to go to war over it. Although Jefferson's ideas were felt very deeply during the Texas Revolution, it was not the last time, obviously, that his influence would inspire the people of Texas. So I want to fast forward about 100 years now to the year 1930, roughly, when the nation was in the throes of the Great Depression, and San Antonio's two public high schools at the time, Main Avenue High School, which is now Fox Tech, and Brackenridge High School, were experiencing acute overcrowding, particularly Main Avenue. To address this overcrowding and in an effort to stimulate the local economy, the city of San Antonio passed a school bond that Mayor Garza referred to, a $3.7 million school bond to create a third high school on the north side. Ultimately, 1/3 of that bond issue was devoted to the construction of Thomas Jefferson High School, an extravagant expenditure in its day. The school's Spanish-Moorish design by the architects Adams and Adams includes elaborate stonework features carved by the Pianta family artisans. It also features a large 2,000-seat auditorium and many other decorative features in the interior, which many of us who have been students there came to know and love. In short, San Antonio created a high school like no other in the country, and I dare say it remains one of the most strikingly beautiful high school buildings that one will find anywhere in the world. The initial group of 1,400 students at Jefferson chose the school's name, its colors, blue and red, and the Mustang mascot, as well as many other time-honored traditions that survive to this day, and I would include among that the lassos, the band, the ROTC, and other groups that we see here today, still representing Jefferson with great pride. Within 5 years of its opening in 1932, Jefferson High School was actually named the most outstanding high school in America, and it was featured on the cover of Life magazine in 1938, March 7th issue, in case you want to look it up. For those of you too young to remember Life magazine, and I'm not including any alumni in that group, you will have to take my word for it that this was a really big deal. It was kind of like perpetually trending on Twitter. Over the years, Jefferson High School has produced many notable alumni, and Mayor Garza was very kind to name a number of them. They include him as one of the many public servants, the Castro brothers, Julian and Joaquin, who are now both representing us in Washington, Letitia Van de Putte, and many others. It also has produced, though, many well-regarded journalists, educators, scientists, athletes, musical artists, and military leaders. I'm not going to recite a long list of names, so I want to make this fun. I'm going to let you ponder for a few minutes the answers to the following Jefferson High School trivia questions. First, what is the high school in San Antonio that is actually named after a Thomas Jefferson High School alumnus? Second, who is the biggest Grammy Award winner from Jefferson since 2000? This is for the younger. Which Jefferson graduate has participated in presidential debates in the greatest number of election years? And finally, what accomplishments by alumni give Jefferson High School a scientific designation that is unique in the world? Now, while you consider these brain teasers, I'd like to introduce you to a couple of individuals who attended Jefferson High School during its first decade of existence, Lillian Dunlap and John Silver. They are not as well known to the public, but I will tell you that they were giants in their respective professions. Lillian Dunlap graduated from Jefferson in 1940, and by 1942 had earned her nursing degree. I want you to recall that this was only months after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, so she enlisted in the Army as a nurse and was stationed in New Guinea, the Admiralty Islands, and the Philippines. These were some of the most intense hotspots during the heart of the Pacific War. Later, after she had undergone a series of promotions and appointments to position of greater and greater responsibility within the Army, she was named the chief of the entire Army Nurse Corps and promoted to Brigadier General, a rank which she held until her retirement in 1975. I think she was probably one of the very first female generals to serve in the U.S. Army. Lillian was decorated many times for her bravery, service, and devotion to the profession of nursing, including being named an honorary member of the American Academy of Nursing and eventual induction into the Texas Women's Hall of Fame. But perhaps the most interesting tribute to her life's work is the fact that one of the San Antonio river barges is named for her. Maybe you've seen the General Lil going up and down the river. John Silver was only a couple of years younger than General Dunlap, but he also achieved great distinction, or some might say notoriety, in his chosen career. After his graduation from Jefferson in 1943, Silver studied philosophy at Trinity University, then attended Yale, where he earned a PhD in the late 1950s. By 1960, he had returned to Texas and taught at UT Austin. He ultimately became the Dean of Arts and Sciences there and played a key role in recruiting high-caliber faculty and transforming that university into one of the top educational institutions in the world. He also advocated for a number of liberal causes while he was here. In 1970, Dr. Silver became president of Boston University, a position that he held for more than 25 years. It's an extraordinarily long tenure for a university president, and then followed that with 6 years as chancellor at Boston University. He continued to advocate for causes in Massachusetts, though his causes now reflected a more conservative outlook. As a result, Silver was known throughout his life for his combativeness and his strong advocacy for a number of social causes spanning the political spectrum. Like General Dunlap, his legacy is marked by a naming. In this case, a street on the Boston University campus is named for him. I should mention parenthetically that the current president of Boston University, Robert Brown, is also a graduate of the San Antonio Independent School District, but he studied at Highlands High School. So, Superintendent Martinez, we have great distinction in the San Antonio School District going on in Boston higher ed.